Welcome back everyone to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got this card for you. So it's there's a bit of layering and embossing and dry embossing and also embossing with silver with your Versamark ink pad, but we'll just talk our way through that as we go. So I have used the Stampin' Up stamp set Paisleys and Posies, and as you can see there's quite a lot of shapes in there that you could do just about anything with. And what I do is, because I've got a scan and cut, I stamp out quite a lot. Like I stamp out a full 2 sheets and then I cut them all out, and then I just pop them in a cellophane bag and name the stamp here. So if I'm going away for a few days, I can just grab a couple of packets of stamped images and take them with me, and I can make a couple of cards on the way, and it's always there ready for me. So that's just a little tip. So that's the stamp set Paisleys and Posies. It's in the annual catalogue, which ends 2018 at the end of May. So I'll just pop that one aside. So that's the card we're going to make, but we're going to do it in basic black and melon mambo this time. So we'll get started. So to start with, you're going to need a piece of basic black or whatever colour scheme that you're going to be using. I've used basic black as my base card, which is 11 inches long by 4 1/8 of an inch wide, and then scored at 5.5. And then I've already gone ahead and just popped my inside whisper white piece and just stamped a little sort of corner off the page for the inside, just so it's not blank inside. Okay, so then what you will need is, and I've already embossed it, but you will need a piece of cardstock of whatever colour you want. Melon Mambo and Bermuda Bay go really well with basic black. So I've chosen Melon Mambo, and that is 3 7/8 of an inch by 5 1/4 of an inch. And then I've embossed it with my embossing folder Petal Burst through my Big Shot. So it just adds a little bit more interest to your card. Okay, now one thing I just want to explain is when I embossed this on basic black, what I did, I took a piece of basic black about that size, and I just, using my Versamark ink, stamped up the images all over the basic black, and then I cut them in 1 inch width strips, so they're going to fit on my card wherever I want to pop them on my card. You just make them the size that you want. Okay, and then you can just, if you've got leftovers, you can put them in a cellophane bag as well, and you can just use them when you need them, so you're not having to emboss all the time. But just remember, when you're embossing with Versamark ink and the Stampin' Up or any brand embossing powder, you should use a embossing buddy first. So say I've got one here that I've just embossed, but before I emboss that, what I would do is I'd take my embossing buddy and just run over the cardstock, and it will remove any fibres, so that when you stamp with your Versamark ink, and then once you add the embossing powder and you heat set it, it's not going to, you're not going to get a lot of speckles when you dry your embossing powder. So that's a little bit of a tip, and that's just one of the shapes out of that stamp set. And I just did it on basic black first to see whether the silver looked good on the basic black. I was tossing up between silver and gold, and I'm really glad I did choose silver on black. I've done Night of Navy, which I use gold on Night of Navy, just for future reference. It always looks very nice as well. So then also, using the Stitch Shapes framelits, I cut the two larger oval shapes in the framelit set. I did the very large in black, and then I did the size down in Melon Mambo. And then I stamped, this time I stamped Happy Birthday on there. And then all I'm going to do there is pop some dimensionals on the back of my smaller oval, and I'm just going to peel them off, and then that's going to be ready to go on the card. You can put more dimensionals on it if you want, it's just entirely up to you. So then I'm just going to place that. Oh, I nearly did it on the wrong side. So just center it. I just do it roughly, I don't. And just press down, and then we've got our nice sentiment. So what we're going to do next is pop our base card aside for a moment, and what I want to do is glue these pieces down. These are my basic black, which I've embossed with silver embossing powder, and I want to pop that down there. So I'll glue this one first, and I'm going to use the Tombow. I like a little bit on it because I want to have the ability to move it if I want to, and I always have my cotton bud handy just to spread it out a bit. And then I'm going to just place that just so I've got, and you can see I'm moving it at the moment ever so slightly, but so once I feel it's straight, just press it down. So you need a bit of extra Tombow under that because we've got the embossed Melon Mambo, and then this is quite thick with the embossing on it as well. So that's two different sorts of embossing that you can do. Then you have to figure out where you want this piece, and I like to see where my sentiment is going to sit, so I can see that I need that up a little bit higher, and when I glue it I want it to be flush on that side, and then I just want it to be a bit lower. So I want that to go to about there. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to put a bit more of this on. just work out which way you want it. So I want it that way. So I just counted up 1, 2, 3, and I want it to be flush on that side. And I should just have a little piece of grid paper there, and that would help me. So that's pretty straight. So you put those two pieces down first, and then we're going to, what I might do is pop that on the front of my card first, like so. Just make sure I've got it up the right way because I've already stamped inside. Now I like, because it's been embossed with the petal burst embossing folder, I like to put a fair bit on so that it's going to take when I put it down. Because there's a lot of indentations when we start embossing. I'm just going to put a little bit extra in the middle so it will allow me to move it. Now, just line that up on a grid line. Doesn't matter which one. Just so I can see that it's straight. Now it will move a little bit because I've put a lot in the middle there, but I did that on purpose because I want it to adhere very well with all that embossing that we've done. So that's the base of your card so far. Then I'm going to put some Tombow on the back of here, and I want that to be rather low, for the reason is we're going to be adding flowers. So I'm just going to put a fair bit in the middle, and then just a little bit, oh well, I was going to put a little bit just down there. So I'll just grab, so you don't need very much on, like close to the edge, it's more in the middle, so it gives you the ability to move it if it's not exactly where you want it. And we want it to be straight, so you can see that I can move it until I've got it where I want it. And you could put that on with dimensionals as well. Even though this piece has been adhered with dimensionals, you could put dimensionals under the black or some craft foam if you really wanted it to pop off the card. But like, even like that, it's a beautiful card, so you could just do it like that and not even add any flowers if you didn't want to. But I have pre-coloured some flowers. So I've pre-coloured some so that the video doesn't go on forever. So I've just coloured them in. These ones I've actually coloured in Melon Mambo out of the blendabilities that we used to have. And then I've done some leaves in Old Olive, which is from the Stampin' Blends alcohol markers. Okay, so I'm going to just see where I want them. So to start with, I'm just going to put my flowers down, so about like that. So all I've done is coloured these and then just put a metal rimmed pearl in the centre, and I just grab a bit of just a little bit of glue. It will dry clear, so don't panic, but if a little bit comes out, just wipe it away. Then we want this one. So you can see I'm putting, because I've put this on with dimensionals, I can slide the flower underneath like that. So we'll just pop. We don't really need to have too much on this little one. It's mainly in the centre. And I'm just going to slide that underneath. I don't want it to be underneath too much because it's only a little flower. So that's like that. Then I'm just going to add a leaf up there. So I might grab one of these. So once you sort of work out where you want your leaf, just put a bit of that on, grab your cotton bud, I'm just dabbing it. Now I'm just going to put the, once it's down, it's down. You can't, it gives you time to move it a little bit. And then you can sort of poke your, so that's going to go nicely in there. So just a little bit, maybe a little bit more. And the cotton bud. And just dab that. Like that. Turn it over and just put it underneath that where we've put it up on dimensionals. That's the good thing about putting it up on dimensionals, because you can just poke your little leaves and flowers underneath. And then on the original one, I actually added one of these. So I think I will add it. You don't have to. So it's actually a bigger piece. So the full stamp is like that. And I just coloured it and just chopped it off where I wanted it chopped off. It's a great way just to add, and don't throw any that you've chopped off in half, just put them in your cellophane packet. Because I do travel sometimes when we go away in our motorhome on holidays, and it's really handy to have stamped images already done. And then if I've got time to do a card on the road, that's what I do. So slide that under, and we're just gonna, just adds a bit more dimension to your card. I did when I first started, I did colour using different colours for the flowers, but I found doing them just the one colour, like the melon mambo, and with this one just doing it in Bermuda Bay, it looked a lot nicer. So that's what I did. So now we just want to, I don't want those ones, so we've just got 2 more leaves to put down and we're done. So it does make a big difference, me pre-colouring, and I'm sure you've seen me colour with the Stampin' Blends plenty of times now, that you don't need to see me do that every time. So I'm just trying to manoeuvre that around, and I want it fairly close to that flower. A little bit of glue coming out of there, and you can add a little bit of Wink Stella if you want. I did add 3. I'll just pop the smaller one on and see how it looks. So just a little bit of a dab. Spread it down. So I just need a bit more, so I've got a bit on that where I'm going to be poking it underneath. Okay, so we're just going to poke it underneath and let it sit there. Now in my original one I actually did add, because I didn't like the way it looked, and I'm sort of thinking that it does need that 3rd leaf on the top there. It's just a personal thing. And as I said, there's so many different shapes in this stamp set that you can use. I've seen people make animals out of the different shapes and things like that. I'm not really into that, but you do what makes you happy. So I'm just moving that over a little bit. So that's the card basically done, and if you wanted to, you could take your Winker Stella and you could just highlight just the stems on the leaves if you wanted to add a little bit of sparkle. So there's quite a few different things we've done here. There's dry embossing with the petal burst. There's the layering the sentiment with dimensionals and stitch shapes framelits. And there's also the embossing on our black using the silver embossing powder. So there's quite a lot done there, but you can see how easy it was done just to make that, and I think it's turned out really lovely. I made that one into a happy birthday one. This one says thankful, grateful, blessed. So it's just a little bit different. So the original one was black and Bermuda Bay. And the second one that we've done now is Melon Mambo and Basic Black. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you can try and use that tutorial to make some cards and use those techniques that we used today. And until next time, happy crafting!